If I made a guy with a brand new GTR happy when I did his windshield about the way I try to keep it down, I'm sure I can make you happy.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, no, I'm not as crazy as you think I am. So with the factory piece, you know, the factory piece runs down here, so it doesn't cover this, right? And so it runs down here and then comes across. So it doesn't even go all the way down to the whatever you call this, the underbody. And so it comes down, curves, comes around, and then stops about here and comes up. What I wanted to do was bring it straight across.
Just a little higher.
Yeah, so we'll have a line. It'd be hard to see, but there's, you know, the stones come up this way too, right? And so I would like to bring, and I understand, I could see a line before, so I understand we're gonna see a line. I'd like to bring it straight across, you know, and then, you know, bring the edge to the, you know, the door jamb here, or however you do that, and then bring it down and then come off. I'm assuming you don't want to clear film this part.
Yeah, you don't want to go past the ridge here.
Right, so I'd like it to go, you know, from ridge to roughly where the, you know, where the plastic is, and then up, and then over here. So that's what I'd like to have.
How level do you want this part?
I'd like that to be level with the ground if we can.
As close as I can.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's really earth-shattering. So I think what we should do actually is bring it, you know, bottom of the door handle across. And the paint's corrected. I mean, it's dirty from me driving here, but paint's corrected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, optimum no rinse, just clean it real quickly for you, then you can kind of do your thing.
Okay. I'll grab some measurements real quick and get a couple of raw pieces fit. I want to test fit it before we do go on camera. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. 3M film. What's it called?
ScotchGuard Pro.
ScotchGuard Pro. All right. So I've got brought my buckets with me. This is when, you know, this is when guys like Larry get nervous, when guys like me bring the buckets and they're optimum no rinse with them. But I just want to do a waterless wash on the area. I mean, I just corrected the paint. So I'm going to do a quick little waterless wash of the area and just prep it so that he's ready to go. So I've got 5-gallon bucket. I've got about 2.5 gallons, so I'll need about 2.5 of these caps. So you need 1/2 ounce per gallon. Take one of my creature edgeless towels, mix it around. So with O&R, I'm not an O&R expert, but fold the towel in quarters. I'm going to dip it in the water. You know, I don't want to like wring it out super, you know, so that it's completely, you know, waterless. But I don't want to go on it with 5 pounds of water. And I'm going to have it in quarters. The car isn't super dirty, so I'm not too concerned about it. I do want to get it clean before we do the clear film, obviously. Fluffle. Now we can certainly, I could go get another towel, but the car isn't like super dirty, so I'm not too concerned about using an extra towel. But I mean, if you're really, really into it, really crazy, well, the car was really dirty. Now I don't think O&R, I don't think Optimum even recommends this, but if I were doing it, I wouldn't put the towel back in the bucket. We'll just use the same. We use it, you know, half a dozen towels or so to bring the car up. I find the Puffle not as good for drying in general unless it's something like this, like a waterless or rinseless wash like this. I find the Puffle super useful. All right, so we have the what are these called? Rocker panels?
Yeah, rocker panels.
Yeah, so we have the rockers. We have these measured out. So we're going to do a line. It's about 25 inches off the ground, and it'll come down and carry this edge here. So we'll have some better protection than factory. And again, I want to get this on before we go to the mountains. And so Larry measured me out, and now he's prepping the film on the wall in order to kind of trim it out and cut it. This stuff, I don't understand. Is there a piece on the front and back of this, and then there's adhesive behind it?
Yeah, there's the protective layer.
Okay, right, so that protects it for when it's wrapped in like a roll, right? Mm-hmm. And then underneath it, is there another layer underneath that?
No, the adhesive is on the back side here.
Okay.
And
oh, so this is the junk. This is the actual clear film. Yeah,
this
gotcha.
is the actual clear film.
Gotcha.
The adhesive is basically pressure sensitive. So once we start squeegeeing it out, it activates the adhesive and it bonds it to the surface itself.
So is it the same kind of stuff as window tint, or is it a little different?
It's the same concept, but slightly
I'm sure different, yeah. And so now we have wax on my car. This will just adhere. I mean, this will just adhere to that.
It's going to be just fine.
I like the idea of having some wax on there. That way, it'll come off someday. You know, because this won't be long for. I'm sure this area of the car gets destroyed. Wow, that's super cool. Gosh, these guys are like freaking magicians, man. This is like voodoo science that I don't understand. Yeah, that's perfect, dude. Perfect. Why didn't I frickin' do this 3 years ago?
Okay. We're going to cover a little bit more of the edge than the factory does.
Yep. But in this part of the car, we don't want to really fold it under because it'll come up.
Correct.
Holy crap, I thought this was going to take like frickin' 3 hours to do.
It's fun.
No, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So then when you cut these bottom, you've like trained yourself, knife pressures and all that stuff to...
Well, we do have to go through a certain type of training to do the ScotchGuard Pro.
Yeah.
but it is definitely
An art form.
luck and skill at the same time to get the pressure right.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do a rough cut and then come back and dial it. Now he's got it. So you got
50,
IPA. Yeah.
70%.
Yeah. And what's this do?
It's going to this area like this right here, because of the curvage,
Mm-hmm.
it needs a little bit of help to help tack up properly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just squirt just a little bit in there in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure I got all the air out of it as much as possible. Don't really want it to go out in the big area. Just want it to stay close to the edge here.
Yeah, that did work pretty darn well, huh?
Yeah.
It's almost like you know what you're doing.
The alcohol, if you get too much alcohol, it can actually burn the adhesive
Yeah,
and give it an ugly texture look.
I got you.
The
So you only-
ScotchGuard Pro's adhesive is extremely sensitive.
Yeah.
Just giving us a few minutes for it to kind of grab itself.
So then you can stretch it and cut it.
I'm going to try to get this just on side this ledge right here.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Huh?
And that way it's not necessarily
Not
inside
super
or
visible,
outside.
yeah. Keep forgetting I got the camera. I'm watching you with my eyes rather than through the camera. I'm fascinated by this stuff.
Can you hear that squeaking?
Yep. That means you're cutting the plastic, not my car.
Usually the squeak is a good sound. And I believe we're going to be able to get this to work. If not, then I'll just trim it a little closer.
no pressure. It's only my pride and joy and life's, you know, life's pursuit and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you know, who cares? I'm going to be selling it soon anyway. So do you have to heat this or no?
No, heating is not really necessary. Every now and then it is okay to apply a little bit of heat to the edges to help it warm up.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have to shrink this like you do tint?
Nope. I will post heat this just a little bit to help it stay down.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did just barely go inside the lip, which I think this is going to be a better application.
Is that the same kind of squeegee you use on the windows?
Yeah, I use this one as in my window tinting. I have this one squared around so I don't accidentally use this for a different purpose. This is exclusively for paint protection.
Yeah.
Alright, now I gotta make another incision from here down and across. And then this side will be all set after a few seconds of post heating.
Yeah. Looks like we just put plastic on the car. Just my favorite thing. I'm known for being anti clear film, just because I like clean, waxed, unaltered paint. That's kind of my thing. But like I've said in some of my previous videos, I'm gonna wrap my next one, because if I keep this car, I'm gonna repaint the whole front bumper, or the whole front clip, basically. You know, if my cars stay in Florida, it's no big deal. You get like a rock chip every 6 months. When I go to the mountains, I get thousands of them every trip. Maybe not thousands, but dozens of them.
Trying to get it to go in the groove the best I can.
Yeah. So if you were a, let's say you get into like doing exclusive clear filming, are there machines that would cut this all for you, or there's still lots of panels on cars that you'd have to still do this, right?
The programs that we use, for example, the actual program we use comes directly from 3M, and there's a lot of patterns that actually do fit the panels. This particular section right here is not available for the pre-cut.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a custom fit.
That's interesting. You'd think that this would be, 911 rear rocker. This area is probably got to be pretty common.
Well, they've got the section like this.
Ah, yeah. But not the whole.
It's not
yeah.
what you wanted. So.
Yeah. A visible line. Of course we can see the edge, but we don't really have a choice there. Edge along the door. Golden. Actual film. Just a scrap piece. Interesting. You can smell the adhesive on it. Of course, I've never been able to smell it because I've always only ever taken it off. I haven't actually put it on. So we just want to get a similar measure. I mean, it is clear film, so you can't see exactly, but we're getting a nice level line. So he has a reference point to work off of.
That's it.
Pre-cut some pieces. Is that just soap and water?
Baby shampoo and water.
Yeah. Like if you think about, like I have these buckets that I put the vinyl on. Baby shampoo would probably be the way to do it, huh?
Yeah,
I guess.
The reason why I like using the baby shampoo other than dish soaps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because dish soaps are really they're a detergent.
Yeah, so they have some degreaser in it and stuff, yeah.
And it can attack the adhesive and cause a little bit of premature failure.
So how much you put in there? What's the dilution? Just put a couple squirts, yeah.
Yeah. You go by feel,
yeah.
And you generally get the proper feel for experience.
Yeah. Need to tell that guy all customers are allowed to come in and video video their car getting worked on. Just what you guys would love, huh? It always takes me a while to convince everybody to let me do this because I kind of know what needs to be done at times. I was telling Eric this when we were working on the car audio system. Like, I know you have to sometimes put some muscle behind getting the panel off or something. And it's funny, sometimes I'll make a video, like I'll be at like a shop, like I was at a shop getting some suspension components done, and people were just kids who just they think that every shop is like the McLaren factory, where it's like a clean room. That's just not the real world. You got to get done what needs to be done, and sometimes it requires a little bit of elbow grease. And not every shop has millions of dollars to invest in, water jets and fancy, equipment. You got to kind of do what you got to do. Like I did one video where we were, we were changing out the monoball mounts for my M3, and the shop's all dirty and dingy and poorly lit, and the guys, rather than taking the whole front end off the car, we bent a couple brackets back rather than removing them. Just kind of bent them out of the way just to get the bolts out, and people were losing their minds. Like I would have done the exact same thing. Just, you know, rather than spending another 2 hours to take the brackets off, just bend them out of the way and bend them back in place. Nothing's going to happen to it, you know.
Sometimes with aftermarket add-ons and stuff, the reason why most shops don't really allow the customers to stand there and watch every step is because there's some ugliness that goes on to make the beauty.
Yep.
And if the consumer doesn't really understand what's going on to get exactly what they want, then you know it can discourage them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Let that sit for just a second before I go to trimming.
Second side's always easier.
Most of the time.
That's why when I'm shooting video, I usually show the first side, so people can see what the real is, you know. I'm busting my knuckles off the fender and
being right-handed and this is on the left side.
Now, does this have the same, this stuff has the same basic idea of tint, that it'll a lot of times be a little cloudy, and then as it dries out, as the remaining water, is that the same case?
Yeah, the water has to evaporate, so to speak, dry out underneath the surface, and it takes it quite a while to do. The more sun that it actually sees, the faster it dries, obviously. But it only takes a few days for it to really dry out. And a nice long squeak out of that one. I'll break the tip off so I know I've got a sharp edge every single time.
Was the 3M film, which looks good. You know, it's going to do what it's supposed to do, which is just protect this area of the car. Again, it looks like there's plastic on the car. You know, the 3M versus the you know, SunTech or whatever. This little section here really doesn't matter. I mean, I'm used to looking at that yellow piece of crap from the factory. So doing the clear film that comes up to the edge here was I wish I did that when I first got the car. So if you get a new GT3 or RS, I would take it right away and just have that redone. It's much clearer, much cleaner, comes up to the edge, you know, rather than being stuck to this one little section. So successful day today with the section here on the rear, whatever you call this, rocker or rear fender, or just the rear rash area that gets hit a lot off the front tire. So anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor